Two high-profile court cases in Kimball County will have to wait a little longer before they can go to trial. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, two high-profile court cases in Kimball County will have to wait a little longer before they can go to trial. On Tuesday, hearings were scheduled for both William Serrano and Andrew Mendoza. Serrano is facing manslaughter and weapons charges in connection to the January shooting death of girlfriend Tessa Gehring. This week in district court, Judge Derek Weimer continued Serrano's case with another hearing set for December 19th. Mendoza is facing charges stemming from a November 2021 drug bust on I-80, where troopers found 37 pounds of marijuana, more than a pound of psilocybin mushrooms, and a loaded handgun. His hearing has been pushed back until January 3rd. Well, the Rural Workforce Housing Fund, administered by Twin Cities Development, now finds itself in high demand after about a year of availability but few takers. TCD Executive Director Jordan Diedrich says all but about $106,000 of the $1.8 million fund is in use or spoken for after the first project was approved several months ago. He tells KNEB News the spark for demand from the fund was a small $20,000 house rehabilitation project in Mitchell.
That was the first start, and after that one, we kind of started doing a little bit more talking to contractors and builders that flip houses, talking to other communities that have funds that are doing well with the program, and talking with people like Mesner and some others that are kind of developers and new construction type projects, and just really how can we make this money.
Tired of feeling stuck? Not sure if you are on the right track? Platte Valley Bank can help keep your finances moving forward with checking account options to fit your lifestyle and an online account chooser to make finding the right account easy. Control your financial future with helpful budgeting tools and automatic savings plans. Now is the time to enjoy the ride with Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
Life Care promises us that we are looked after and taken care of properly.
If I didn't have Life Care, I would be probably scared to death about having enough money for when I got older or when I got sick.
Moving in here was an easy decision and in fact a no-brainer. I looked at it as actually buying long-term care insurance, and in retrospect, a good move.
One of the things that convinces me that we did the right thing is no matter what happens, we will constantly be taken care of.
The whole thing is just vital because you don't have to be worried about what's ahead for you. It's there, it's in black and white, and that's reassuring.
This is home. It has been from the day I moved in.
Back. The Mid-American Business Conditions Index survey of supply managers for October remained just above growth neutral, with a slight increase of less than half a point from September. Creighton University economics professor Ernie Goss says it's only the second increase in the last 7 months for the BCI, covering Nebraska and 9 other states, indicating the manufacturing economy is in a slow to no growth stage.
One of the more important things to come out of the October survey was that our economic confidence, lowest level since March of 2020. And that was, of course, the first month of the pandemic. So there's real concerns among the supply managers, manufacturing supply managers, about going forward.
Goss expects short-term interest rates to grow about 1 percentage point to 7.25% by the end of the year, and long-term rates, such as for mortgages, could rise to 8%. He says the price of a barrel of oil is a key moving forward, and if it approaches $100 per barrel by the end of the year, it would be problematic for inflationary pressure. Well, Riverstone Bank has kicked off their 41st annual Gift of Love campaign with the Tree of Names. Marketing Director Becca Pierce tells KNB News people can get the names off the tree by going inside the lobby of their Scottsbluff or Gering branch locations.
So Valley Christian Neighbors in Need collects 100 families from that application process, and the children go on our trees. So about every year we have about 300 children that we have on our tree with our tags. The tags list the age and wishes. And a lot of these wishes are utilitarian in need, clothing, coats, blankets, that kind of stuff. But then there's always the fun stuff, Barbies, RC cars, balls, bikes, that kind of stuff. So
Pierce says the Canned Good collection and Coats for Kids campaigns are also now underway. In addition to the Gift of Love, the annual Jingle Jog will take place on December 10th. And dueling lawsuits have been dropped by a former Nebraska candidate for governor and a fellow Republican state lawmaker who accused him of groping her at a political function several years ago. Earlier this year, Charles Herbster lost his bid to become the Republican nominee for governor. He sued State Senator Julie Slama for defamation ahead of the May primary election. She had told the Nebraska Examiner that Herbster had groped her at a local party event in 2019 when she was 22 years old. She quickly countersued Herbster on accusations of sexual battery. Online court records show a judge granted both sides motion to dismiss their respective lawsuits. No reason for the dismissal was given.
Welcome to Kelly's, home of the Valley's best selection of wine, spirits, and beer. Whether you're brand loyal to the tried and true brew or really enjoy trying something different and new, Kelly's has something for everyone. Family owned and operated and right on your way on West 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Kelly's Liquor. If you can't find it at Kelly's, it's not worth drinking.
I really like how our OB department takes our limited amount of doctors and turns it into a strength. Even though we only have a couple of people, you get to know them well over your entire pregnancy. We have 2 state-of-the-art labor rooms that are new with our last addition. We have a couple of very nice postpartum rooms also right here in the hospital so they can get as much time with mom and baby as possible.
Logos in Gering is the place to get all of your school spirit gear, personalized gifts, and promotional items for your business and employees and banners for any special event. Logos is also the only place to stop for custom screen printing or embroidery. You can even design it yourself on their interactive website. Stop into Logos today. They'll design it, print it, and have it to you in no time. There's no job too big or small for Logos. That's Logos in Gering.
The Evergreen Credit Card by FNBO. Earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Every day. Everywhere. Never worry about expiring points or category restrictions. Plus, there's no annual fee. Only from the Great Big Small Bank. A bank ever ready for you to earn more. Wherever life leads. Evergreen by FNBO.
I'm Jason Jorgensen. It is once again time for Husker Chat. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment as we talk Husker football with Sean Callahan of Husker Online. Well, Sean, a big home game last week for Nebraska. A lot of folks were hoping the Huskers could jump up and upset Illinois. That did not happen. Kind of a disappointing game in a number of different facets. As you look at things going into this week with the game with Minnesota, how do the Huskers put that in the rearview mirror and bounce back against a pretty decent Gopher squad?
Yeah, Jason, obviously a very tough Saturday. I mean, it felt like such an opportunity for Nebraska at home, great weather in Memorial Stadium, national televised game. And then, the Casey Thompson injury happened late second quarter, and then the game never came back from that moment. I mean, you go back to Nebraska was winning 9-6. Ramir Johnson was streaking open. They threw a perfect play call to him. He dropped it. After that play, Nebraska had like 36 total yards of offense the rest of the game on 30 snaps. Casey Thompson was injured a couple of plays later after that drop pass. And it was just, they weren't ready for that situation. And I think now the challenge with Minnesota coming in is getting a quarterback ready for this week. Whether that's Chubba Purdy, whether that's Logan Smothers or if Casey Thompson can get himself back. But then having a plan, because clearly after the injury to Casey, they just didn't really have much of a plan that could be executed by either one of those quarterbacks.
Did that surprise you that it looked so much different? And I mean, everybody knows the starter's going to get most of the reps, but you would have thought that it had maybe a little better of a fighting chance with Chuba Purdy. And we saw, Logan Smothers last year. He wasn't bad against Iowa last year.
I mean, backup quarterback situations that we've seen over the years are typically like this anywhere you go, especially when you don't have a week to prep the guy as the starter. I go back to Michigan when Denard Robinson got hurt. They brought a backup guy and he did terrible. Nebraska beat him in Memorial Stadium. Ohio State came in to Lincoln. I believe it's Nebraska's only win, and they had their quarterback Braxton Miller get hurt, and a backup named Joe Bauserman came in, and Nebraska handled them. So it's not uncommon, Jason, when the starter that's prepped all week gets hurt kind of like abruptly in a game, that the backup is just not as prepared, because it's very, very difficult to give two guys quality number one game reps. Now, with that said, this week, Mickey Joseph has said that Logan Smothers and Chuba Purdy are rotating the number one reps. So they are trying to make sure both of these guys are ready for this game here on Saturday against Minnesota.
What was your read on how the defense played against Illinois? They were gouged in some aspects, but if the offense wouldn't have gone dead in the second half, at least they did give them a chance to hang in the game and maybe potentially steal one.
Yeah, I mean, they got some key stops. They forced a turnover, but they couldn't get off the field on some third downs. That'd be the one critical thing. But when your offense turns it over 4 times, it's very hard for the defense. But with that said, Illinois only scored 6 points on 2 field goals the entire second half. So they hung in there long enough for Nebraska to have a chance. And there was even a moment when Nebraska got a stop, they got the ball, and they had a chance to cut it back to a 7-point game. And the offense fell flat, I believe, turned it over. So it was a tough day all around because the defense had some moments. But then Tommy DeVito goes 20-22 for them. And he was very effective in managing that game for Brett Bielema.
Today on Husker Chat, we're talking with Sean Callahan as we take a look back at the loss to Illinois and the upcoming game with Minnesota. Husker Chat brought to you by Acres Equipment. Sean, how about this Minnesota bunch? They looked pretty good early on, and then they were stung by Purdue. This is a very experienced team that does a lot of things well, and they're hard to prepare for.
Yeah, multiple 6-year seniors that play key roles, led by Tanner Morgan, who has started and won, I believe, over 40 games in his career as the Gophers starting quarterback. So he's as winning of a quarterback in terms of total wins in his career as there is right now in college football. And when you have a leader like that knows who he is and kind of plays like a coach on the field, he gives them a chance almost every time they play. They didn't have him against Penn State, and they dropped off quite a bit. So Tanner Morgan played a week ago. They looked outstanding against Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers did not do any. I mean, Rutgers' offense had in the hundreds total for that game on the Gopher defense. And then Morgan in that offense really did a great job. Mo Ibrahim, the running back, is on pace to have his third 1,000-yard rushing season for the Gophers. You could make a case he's every bit, if not better, than Illinois' Chase Brown.
What's your take on the coaching search? It's been pretty quiet. You surprised by that, or is this kind of the way you thought this would develop?
Well, it should be quiet. When you're talking about coaches that are coaching other teams, you can't really have things about them being talked about with a month of the season left. It would be, I've never seen it before. So I get asked that question, why is it so quiet? But have you ever seen a guy with 4 games left to go, like step down and say, yep, I'm leaving my school to go to Nebraska right now? So a lot of this will play out at the end of the season, and it's really tough. And I knew that when they fired Frost on September 11th, this was going to be a 3-month grind where we're just like, man, and we still have 4 weeks to go, 4 games to go. And I think after the Iowa game, it will move fairly quickly. And let's say it is Mickey Joseph. We probably know before the Iowa game if that's the route they'd go. But Trev has really kept, I think, this very close to the vest, and that's how it should be done.
I was going to say, you have to be impressed at this point. Not a lot of leaks out of the Nebraska athletic department.
Yeah, when you use a search firm, though, that's what you pay for. I mean, we've seen that over the years. I mean, I'll never forget a long time ago, Iowa State used a search firm, and they hired Gene Chizik, and literally going into the press conference, nobody knew it was Gene Chizik when he was their coach. So if you use a search firm, you can get a real surprise at the end. Mike Riley was definitely a real surprise, and Nebraska announced him. I'm not sure that was the surprise people wanted. I'm not even sure iCourse really used a search firm back then for that deal. But yeah, search firms make it interesting because they work behind channels, and it's very rare that information gets out.
All right, how about Saturday's game? How does Nebraska potentially find a way with a backup quarterback to hang around and make this interesting and maybe steal one from the Gophers?
They've got to run it better. I think the inability to establish running the ball has hurt them. And, it just, they can't expect these quarterbacks to throw it at a high level for Nebraska. They've got to be better with the short, controlled passes. They've got to get Trey Palmer back involved. He had 7 targets Saturday, 1 catch for 1 yard. That ain't going to get it done. I mean, they've got to do a better job of getting probably what is their best player, Palmer, involved on the field.
All right, we'll see how it develops on Saturday in Lincoln. Sean, as always, we appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks, Jason.
That was Sean Callahan, Husker Online, joining us for Husker Chat. We're here every week. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. I'm Jason Jorgensen.
The Evergreen Credit Card by FNBO. Earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Every day. Everywhere. Never worry about expiring points or category restrictions. Plus, there's no annual fee. Only from the Great Big Small Bank. A bank ever ready for you to earn more, wherever life leads. Evergreen by FNBO.
Fly United Airlines, operated by SkyWest with Western Nebraska Regional Airport. United is dedicated to going the extra mile for you with daily flights to and from Denver, along with a commitment to excellent service. Reserve your flight today, and remember, United miles can be earned and redeemed with your flights. While at the airport, stop and enjoy authentic Italian food at Roma Italian Restaurant. Plus, Hertz Thrifty Car Rental is there for your car rental needs. Make life easier, relax, and get on board with Western Nebraska Regional Airport.
Well, let's take a peek at what's happening on your weekend community calendar. The Community Calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. First State Bank is now Riverstone Bank. Community strong with the same people you know and trust.
You deserve to have a building that will last for generations. With more than 110 years of experience and thousands of satisfied customers, Morton Buildings is the industry leader you can trust. If you're planning for a garage, farm shop, horse barn, storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, there's no better time to buy. Contact your local Morton sales office or visit mortonbuildings.com to get started today.
Looking for free instead of fees? Platte Valley Bank can help you keep your finances moving forward with no ATM fees. Whether you're headed to the lake, the mountains, or just to the grocery store, you can enjoy the freedom of free ATM access anywhere, anytime. Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
And finally tonight, Nebraska Chamber President Brian Sloan says the state is in perhaps the best economic position of a lifetime coming out of the last 2 years of the pandemic. During a meeting of the Scottsbluff-Gehring Rotary Club, Sloan noted the Nebraska economic mix did better than the rest of the country and is still outperforming as tax revenues have been showing. However, Sloan told the crowd it may not feel that way because a shrinking workforce is everywhere.
You see it, you can walk down Main Street Gehring, you can walk down Main Street Scottsbluff, you can go to fast food, you can go to other businesses, and what do you see? You see notices on the board or on the door that says closed today, adjusted hours, never quite know who's showing up for work in on any given day. Workforce is our #1 issue amongst our businesses across the state.
Sloan said birth rates since the 1960s have been falling and young talent has continued to move out of the state as an estimated 80,000 new jobs will be coming over the next decade. He says 3 things will help stem the tide: streamlining legal immigration, increasing post-secondary enrollment, and leveraging technology to improve productivity, but all require a full commitment and funding on a local and state level. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to set your clocks 1 hour back Saturday night. We'll see you back here on Monday.